Good morning, KOTA territory, and welcome to another DIY Friday Delight. I'm your host, Mimi Herrick, and today I am joined by the lovely Hannah Hutter, and we're making some earrings. All you're going to need to follow along with us are some jump rings, earring hooks, and pliers. So I have some examples here of some earrings that I made a few years ago that are just these pizzas. Have you ever made earrings before, Hannah?
I've never made earrings before.
Okay, well this is going to be really exciting. So we're going to start. I'll have you just pick out what charms you want to be on the end of your earrings, and I'm going to try and detangle some hooks for us. So Hannah, you have been with KOTA for almost a year now. Can you tell me a little bit about, what were you up to before you were a reporter here?
Before I came to KOTA territory, I was going to school in High Point, North Carolina, which if you are a basketball fan, big loss yesterday. But so I went to school at High Point University. I studied broadcast journalism and criminal justice and also minored in theater performance. So I was kind of all over the campus.
Yeah, that is really exciting. And since you've been here, you've been reporting kind of all over the place. Can you tell me a little bit about what your day-to-day looks like here?
Oh, it changes all the time. I'm doing anything from going to court to see what's happening there to talking with groups who are trying to protest it for different legislation, or my favorite thing to do right now is my series, which is on every Sunday called Great Faces, where I just get to go meet different people in KOTA territory and tell their stories.
Yeah, well that was going to be my next question, but before we get there, we'll kind of get into a little bit of the how-to here. So what you're going to do with your pliers is open up the jump ring on top of your charm, and then I'll let you get on that. And then you are going to add your earring hook to it. Nice like that. And then once you have the earring on, you can go ahead and close it with those pliers. It can be a little difficult to get into some of these hooks. And if you need an additional jump ring for those, I have a bunch right here as well. So, and with Great Faces, you have a lot of different stories that you get the opportunity to tell. What has been one of your favorite experiences so far?
Oh, that's a good question. I think one that I really enjoyed that I wasn't expecting to enjoy as much was one of my first, and it's when I went to the Rapid City Regional Airport and I met with one of their heads of maintenance, and she kind of took me around and showed me all of the equipment that they use to make sure that the parking lot is clear and ready for visitors, but also showed me how they clear the snow on the runways and how they prep for winter weather when they're trying to get all these planes and get passengers in and out of KOTA territory. And that was really interesting. She was super nice and just loved her job, and it's so great to see people who are just so excited to go to work every day.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to talk to passionate people and who are cool and excited about what they do, for sure. So you have kind of been moving around all over the place. You help out with weekend reporting, you do dayside reporting on the weekdays. Besides your Great Faces, what is your other favorite thing to do here?
Gosh, that is such a great question. I think that's really hard to answer because I enjoy everything that I do here. Yeah. And so I think picking a favorite can be difficult because one day you want to do one thing and the next day you're like, oh, maybe I want to do more of, I don't know, producing on the weekend or trying to do something else. So I think it's pretty difficult to pick an actual favorite.
I completely understand that. We do get the opportunity to have a lot of fun. And now going, a little bit off of the work track, what is one of your favorite things to do outside of work?
I love baking. I love hanging out at home with my cat, Boston. Which
yes, Boston is such a cutie.
He is a cutie, and I'm struggling hardcore, so probably not gonna be making earrings after I leave here.
I can help you out if you need in terms of closing the jump rings, because it takes a little bit of finessing.
I may have opened it a little too much.
That happens. It's not a huge deal. And your baking is definitely delicious. When we tried, Hannah made these really delicious cookies for the 4th of July for the people who had to work that holiday, and both of us worked. It was so good. They were like, what, red velvet cookies?
Yes, I made red velvet cookies with white chocolate chips. So good.
They are so yummy. I love baking too, but I'm not as talented as you are at it for sure. And besides that, what would you say your guilty pleasure is right now?
Ooh, Guilty pleasure. Well, it's been this for a while, and anyone who works with me will know this answer. I always have a Dr. Pepper on me.
Yes.
That is 100% my guilty pleasure. I can have a can sitting there, and we'll also have a large Dr. Pepper from McDonald's sitting right next to it. So it's rare to see me without a Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, for sure. A Dr. Pepper is a very, very good soda. I'm more of a Diet Coke girly myself, but you know, Dr. Pepper is pretty good too. So what sort of TV shows are you watching? What books are you reading? What have you been up to in that regard?
Shows, I just started, I think it's called The Good Wife on Amazon Prime, which I'm gonna hand this off to you
Okay,
to see if you
got
can help
it.
me, because I'm
Yes.
struggling big time. I started watching The Good Wife. I kept seeing, you know how when you get on TikTok and they show you all those shows and you see so much of it, and so I finally bit the bullet and started watching that, and I think I watched like 3 episodes in one sitting. I just finished The Morning Show on Apple TV.
That's a
I watched
good
that in
one.
like 2 weeks, and it's embarrassing how quickly I watched it, but they really hook you.
They really do. Now, this is a controversial question about The Morning Show, and I guess anything that has reporting in it in general. How realistic do you think those shows are to what we actually do day to day?
Not very realistic at all. I understand, you know, you gotta hype it up a little bit more for the drama aspect of it, but definitely not anything near reality. I kept saying that they should do a reality TV show on reporters, which apparently they used to.
Really?
I didn't know that, but apparently that was a
That
thing.
is so funny.
Yeah.
You know, I do always watch those shows, you know, like The Morning Show or like anything that has journalism in it. And I always think it's so funny how they portray it so differently than what we actually do on the day to day. What would you say is there like a daily routine that you have when you come in here, or is it just everywhere all the time?
I mean, it has the same bones, and then you just add, you know, have a little slight changes. So, you know, every morning I come in, make sure my batteries are charged, check in to see what's going on, send emails, that kind of stuff. The only thing that really changes is where I'm going, and I'm glad I'm not the only one who is struggling with that.
You picked a hard charm to attach, apparently. I had no problem with the butterflies, but these little sparkles are quite difficult. All right, I don't know if we're gonna be able to get those on right now during this while we're live here. But before we wrap up, Hannah, what would you say your favorite part about moving to South Dakota and being in the Black Hills has been?
I think just meeting everyone. There has been very few, actually there's not been any interaction that I've had since moving here that I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I come here? I mean, I came from miles away, and I just absolutely love being here. I love the sights. I love all the delicious food that you can get. I love the hiking. I seriously love it all.
Yeah, I definitely agree here. I'm trying to get these earrings in so I can showcase them a little bit before we go ahead and wrap up here. All right, there's the other one. So we've got the earrings in, pretty easy. And you know, you can do this with anything. Something that I did for these ones, if you want to make your own charms out of something that isn't a charm. So for example, these are these little erasers here. What I did was I took some of these little long wire sticks, and what you do with them is you put a lighter to the end, heat it up, and then you can melt pretty much any little plastic or anything to make earrings out of whatever you want.
That's so cool.
They're pretty easy. Thank you so much for joining us here for another DIY Fridays Delights. We'll see you right back here next Friday for some exciting crafts. I will give you a little hint. We are doing bookmarks. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.